Simone Caldwell didn't fear the dark. She had walked through deserts at night, under stars that hung like bullets waiting to fall. She had led patrols through villages that smelled of dust, gunpowder, and nerves. She had stared down men with death in their eyes and a knife behind their back. The dark didn't scare her, but the suburbs sometimes did. That night, she was in her element, black hoodie zipped up, long legs striding beside her best friend, Titan. A Belgian Malinois, lean and muscular, disciplined like a shadow. His paws barely made a sound on the sidewalk. His ears were always scanning. His eyes, trained, focused, locked in. Not on squirrels, not on cats, but on threats. Real ones. Simone didn't live in the gated neighborhood. She didn't need gates. She'd bought her home outright, 2 blocks down in a quiet cul-de-sac with a small porch and an American flag that had been folded over her brother's coffin. She flew it every day. She believed in what it stood for, even when the country tried not to believe in her. Tonight was like any other walk. Midnight, clear skies. Titan had just finished a week of rest after a full cycle of training at the Canine Center where Simone volunteered. She'd been a military handler for 6 years before coming home. Titan had once dragged a bleeding soldier out of a firefight. He had saved 3 Marines from a buried IED. He wasn't just a dog. He was family. They were halfway past the strip of upscale homes when the headlights came. First slow, then sudden. 2 patrol cars. No sirens. Just a quick flash of white light slicing through the air. Simone turned slightly. Didn't stop. Titan didn't react. But she knew. They weren't there for just anyone. They were there for her. The first cruiser skidded slightly to a stop ahead. The second pulled in behind. She and Titan were boxed in. Simone's chest stayed calm, but her fists tightened. A cop got out. White, late 40s, crew cut, wide on the shoulders, narrow in the mind. The second officer, younger and thinner, lingered near the trunk. "Ma'am, hands visible. Don't move." She stopped. Didn't flinch. "Is there a problem?" "You match the description of a prowler. Got a 911 call about a suspicious black female with a large dog, possibly aggressive, casing cars." Titan sat beside her on command. Still. Silent. Simone's jaw flexed. "I live on this street. I walk him every night. I have since March." The second cop creeped closer. Flashlight up. He waved it directly into Titan's face. "Whoa!" Simone said sharply. "Don't do that." "Dog trained to attack?" "He's trained to respond. Don't give him a reason." The older cop stepped forward. "Let me see some ID." Simone pulled her wallet slowly, handed over her license. He studied it. "You military?" "Yes. Retired handler. Special Ops K9 unit, Fort Benning." The flashlight flicked to the tag on Titan's collar. DOD property, retired handler companion. Trained. The cop stared at it like it might explode. Why walk a war dog through a residential neighborhood? Simone's brow arched. "Because he's mine, and we live here." The younger cop tilted his head. "You sure he's trained to attack? That tag could be fake." Simone inhaled sharply. "He's trained for war, yes, but you're not the enemy unless you act like one." Titan hadn't moved, but his hackles were rising. She noticed the cop resting his hand on the grip of his taser. That's when Simone made her move. She slowly reached into her hoodie and pulled out a folded card. The kind of badge you don't flash unless you mean business. Department of Defense, Canine Handler, security clearance redacted, honorably discharged. The older cop blinked. "Look, we got a call. And now you've got a lawsuit if you don't step off," she said calmly. Then she turned to Titan, whispered a phrase in check. Titan rose, not lunging, not barking, but standing between her and the officers, breathing hard, watching. They stepped back instinctively. He responds to over 20 combat commands.
I suggest you keep your hands off your weapons before one of you gets bit or worse." The street fell quiet, except for the gentle whine of radios. The cops stared. Simone didn't blink. One of the house lights across the street flicked on. A neighbor watching. Then another porch light lit up. Then a third. Eyes were on them now. The older officer cleared his throat. We'll follow up with the complainant." "No need. I already know who it was. And I've got a body cam in my jacket." That was a lie, but they didn't know that. They left. Quickly. As the taillights faded, Simone looked down at Titan. He was calm again. His tail tapped the ground once. He hadn't even growled. She smiled. Good boy. When they got home, she filled his bowl with cold water and added 2 ice cubes the way he liked it. Then she sat on the porch and wrote the whole report down. The next morning, she made a phone call to a local journalist she trusted. That afternoon, the story was live. Veteran canine handler harassed by cops in her own neighborhood. Within 48 hours, the footage from a neighbor's porch cam surfaced, showing the entire confrontation. It went viral. News stations picked it up, military forums lit up in rage. Veterans from across the country rallied behind her. The police department tried to apologize. Simone didn't return their calls. Instead, she joined forces with a local civil liberties lawyer. Together, they launched a campaign to train police departments on how not to corner combat veterans and trained working dogs in the dark. Within a month, she'd started a nonprofit to teach self-defense and rights education to young black women in her county. They called it Project Titan. The cops who cornered her, both placed on leave pending investigation. And Titan just kept walking the streets beside her, calm as ever, watching every shadow. Because now they knew. Some dogs are trained to sit. Some are trained to fetch. But Titan was trained for war. And when the wrong men came for the wrong woman on the wrong street, he made sure they left knowing they were never the ones in control.